It's been a few days now since the Laver Cup, and Nick Kyrgios hinted at retiring sooner rather than later. And then I saw this morning that Rafa Nadal had something to say about Nick Kyrgios. And then some of my clients asked me what I thought of Nick Kyrgios. My name is Micah Babel. I'm a former top 30 WTA pro, and I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments what you think about Nick. Please keep it classy though. We all know how incredibly talented Nick Kyrgios is. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But being called the talent of the century or being more talented than player XYZ can obviously be a huge burden on that player, and I'll get into that a little bit later. I do love watching some of Nick Kyrgios because he comes up with the most insane shots. Nobody else would even try to do these shots, and he pulls them off.
Oh, incredible! Brilliant.
And I love his engagement with the crowd. In Wimbledon, for instance, he let a person in the crowd tell him where to serve. And I mean, those moments are magic. Those moments are things that people will never forget their entire lives. But there are also these moments that will equally not be forgotten, unfortunately. I honestly believe that John McEnroe was the only player who consistently, and that's the key here, consistently, played better when he got mad. He had to get an enemy out there, his opponent, the ref, the crowd. When he got in trouble, when he needed that extra surge of energy, he conjured up that negativity, that anger, and it allowed him to play better. But I really haven't seen any other player who can deliberately use anger and frustration to their advantage. And with Nick Kyrgios, it's that, oh, the whole world is against me, that he gets into those temper tantrums when he's in trouble. And of course, that's when you would get into a negative space. And the issue I have as a coach with that is that it's not just adults who are watching this. I had a kid, tell me that, oh, the pros do it. I just watched a highlight reel, Nick Kyrgios did it. This is a while ago. But basically what they're learning is they're learning that they don't have to take responsibility. They don't learn how to fight through adversity. They, can point to, oh, this is that, and it's never me. It's always something else. There's always an excuse. And it's really difficult as a coach then to come up with a counter argument. Well, yeah, if the pros do it, then it's okay. And by unfortunately having the media play it up so big, younger kids get the idea that, oh yeah, this is part of being a tennis player, and it should not be. And I speak from my own experience. I crack rackets every now and then, and I absolutely regretted that nobody held me accountable and taught me a different way to deal with that. The vast majority of matches are lost when you lose control over your emotions. And in the arena of tennis, that is the only thing that you have control over. Yeah. Will you get bad calls? Yes. Will you get hecklers in the crowd? Yes, absolutely, you will get them. Will you get a referee who will get you or give you a time violation for delay of play, but not Rafa Nadal? Yes, that can happen. And is that fair? No, it's not.
Every single time I play, he's doing some stupid Every time.
Code violation on sportsmanlike conduct. Point penalty, Mr. Kyrgios.
But to go on and on and on about the fact that Rafa Nadal, who's not even on the court, who you're not even playing, does not get time violations, it's completely irrelevant. And the only thing that is relevant at this moment is how you deal with that situation. It's really not a secret weapon anymore that most top athletes in whatever sport are working with experts that help them deal with the pressures, deal with the emotions that they have during competition. So let's hear from another super talent who was also quite the hothead when he came on tour.
Took me, I'd say, almost 3 years, a good 3 years to figure myself out on a court. You know, how am I happy? I always call it the fire and ice situation, you know, the fire wanting to win, being excited after a good point, and the ice coolness of accepting losses, accepting bad shots, accepting the crowd, the tough circumstances. Decided that I was gonna act that way and behave that way on a tennis court, so I would never lose matches because of our mental strength.
And that really is the biggest difference between Nick Kyrgios and the top players that a lot of the pundits say he should be able to compete with for the biggest titles. I mean, he's beaten them all. He's beaten Federer, he's beaten Rafa, he's up 2-0, I believe, in the head-to-head against Novak Djokovic. But the biggest difference really between him and these guys is that they're the consummate professionals. They are all taking responsibility for every little thing that can actually make them better. And here's where I'm circling back to being hailed as a super talent, as Nick Kyrgios was hailed when he came onto the scene. If you take full responsibility for your actions and you do everything possible, and I mean everything, you train like a maniac, you change your diet, you work with a sports psychologist, you commit to living in a bubble for the last 18 months like the pros have, you laid all on the line, and then you don't live up to the hype. What will happen to your ego? It will be absolutely shattered. And by continuing to really focus on things he has no control over, yes, the bad ref who gave you a bad call, or the heckling person in the in the crowd, Nick Kyrgios is basically not willing to lay it all on the line in my mind. And that makes it really difficult for me to watching whole matches of Nick Kyrgios, because he's the guy that I'm hoping will not wake up one day and go back to his career and go like, oh, wow, I wish I had done more. I wish I had started to work with a sports psychologist like Roger Federer. When Roger Federer, as a young guy just coming on tour, realized that he was sabotaging his chances of becoming a great player because he couldn't rein in his emotions, when he realized that, he started to work with a sports psychologist. And it's really difficult to see, for me personally, somebody who is basically giving up the chance to see how good he can be, because I never had that choice. I had a career-ending injury when I was about to break through. I don't think any big attitude change can be expected from him anytime soon, because he really doesn't have an incentive, to be honest. He's making millions, his courts are sold out, and he seems to be content to be the bad guy. He has that image and he seems to be okay with that. Will that always be that way? I don't know. What I do know, though, is that I much rather watch the highlight reels that show his fantastic shot making rather than the videos that show him cracking rackets.